RV News, based on the topic, final rates locked, Iraqi Dinar $5.90 and Vietnamese Dong for $0.29. What's next? RV News 2025. Welcome back to RV News, your trusted source for the latest updates, deep dives, and expert analysis on currency revaluation developments around the globe. If you're holding on to Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong, this is the moment you've been waiting for. The buzz, the speculation, the ups and downs over the years, they've all led to this. We are now in the eye of the storm, and breaking reports confirm what many in the RV community have long anticipated. The final rates appear to be locked, $5.90 for the Iraqi Dinar and for $0.29 for the Vietnamese Dong. Yes, you heard that right. These are the numbers now being circulated among insiders, banking contacts, and even some in the international finance community. So what does this mean for you? And what's coming next? This news didn't just emerge out of nowhere. Over the past few months, there's been a consistent buildup of chatter within private banking circles, central bank meetings, and global economic strategy briefings. Quietly but steadily, certain elite groups and institutional players have been preparing for what now seems to be a fully confirmed revaluation event. From leaked memos within Tier 1 banks to murmurs from the IMF and World Bank liaisons, the signs have been impossible to ignore. If you've been following our reports, you'll recall that just weeks ago we discussed unusual activity at major financial hubs, especially in places like Dubai, Zurich, and Reno, all of which have been linked historically to redemption centers and global exchange activity. Let's talk first about the Iraqi Dinar. The finalized rate of $5.90 is staggering when you consider that the dinar has been hovering at artificially suppressed values for over 2 decades, a result of war, sanctions, and international manipulation. But now, with Iraq's budget finally passed for 2025 and new oil contracts solidified with China, India, and several European countries, the fundamentals are completely different. Iraq's oil-backed economy, along with their strategic infrastructure, investments, and sovereign wealth restructuring, has positioned them as a central energy player in the new multipolar world. According to sources familiar with Iraq's internal financial strategy, this $5.90 rate has not only been approved internally, but was also cleared in a recent coordination effort involving the IMF, BRICS, and the U.S. Treasury. Yes, folks, this is no longer speculation, it's execution time. As for the Vietnamese Dong, a rate of $4.29 shocks many who had modest expectations, but it's been justified by Vietnam's massive manufacturing growth, its integration into regional trade blocs like the RCEP, and a steady shift away from a dollar-dominant economic model. Vietnam has long pegged its currency to stay competitive in exports, but with global restructuring, supply chain realignments, and rising demand for Vietnamese goods, the country's real economic value is now being reflected in its currency. This move also complements Vietnam's deepening ties with BRICS nations and alternative settlement mechanisms outside the traditional SWIFT framework. Vietnam's central bank had been silently accumulating reserves, upgrading digital infrastructure, and tightening anti-corruption controls, all necessary steps to satisfy global transparency standards. Before revaluation, many of you have been asking, what's next? Now that the rates are reportedly locked in, the spotlight shifts to implementation. This is the part of the RV process known as the release window. Sources suggest that Tier 1 groups are being notified first. These groups include structured trusts, humanitarian project groups, and sovereign asset holders. They're expected to begin exchanges within the next 48 to 72 hours, according to multiple confirmations received late last night. This is why we've seen increased military activity near certain key banking zones, including Reno, Miami, and Atlanta. There are also strong indicators that redemption centers are fully manned and operational as of this morning. Staff have reportedly been put on high alert and told to prepare for 12 to 14-hour shifts. For the remainder of the week, this strongly points to a coordinated, multinational rollout of the exchange process. So, how will everyday holders like you and me proceed? According to briefings given to selected Tier 3 and Tier 4B groups, there will be a public announcement within days, likely following the successful initiation of the initial wave of exchanges. Expect an email or direct message via secure channels, possibly through Wells Fargo, HSBC, or even through specific platforms set up solely for this process. These messages will contain instructions, 800 numbers, and exchange center location details. If you're in possession of large currency amounts, particularly IQD or VND, you'll likely be directed to high-security redemption centers rather than local branches. This is to ensure both safety and streamlined processing. Now let's talk about contract rates. While $5.90 and $4.29 are the published international rates, there is strong talk that contract rates may be higher, as much as $7.10 for IQD and $5.25 for VND, depending on your total holdings, your exchange strategy, and whether you've aligned your funds to humanitarian or infrastructure-related projects. But these contract rates are said to be limited time and invitation-based only. It's critical that you prepare now. Get your paperwork in order, including proof of purchase, clean source of funds letters, and KYC documents. If you're looking to take advantage of these higher rates, timing and presentation will be everything. One of the biggest concerns among the RV community is taxation. Are the proceeds from exchanging revalued currency going to be taxed? The answer, as always, is nuanced. While no official statement has been made by the IRS or Treasury as of today, historical precedent and legal tax strategy documents suggest that currency exchanges could be treated as capital gains, unless exchanged through designated redemption protocols that fall under non-taxable event clauses. This is where redemption centers play a key role. If you're exchanging via an approved tier for B redemption center, with NDA letters and specific settlement agreements, you may avoid capital gains altogether. But if you go the traditional route, walking into a retail bank after public release, expect to report and potentially be taxed on gains exceeding long-term capital gains thresholds. Let's also address security and timing. When this goes live publicly, the demand will be enormous. That's why you need to remain vigilant. We advise viewers to avoid discussing your currency holdings or plans online or with untrusted individuals. There will be scammers, fake 800 numbers, and rogue websites attempting to harvest your data or mislead you. Only trust verified communication and cross-reference instructions against known intel providers or sources you've followed for years. Always double-check details before making any moves. Now, what about the global implications? This isn't just about the currencies revaluing. The IQD and VND reevaluations are part of a broader reset of global financial systems. The movement away from fiat dominance, the rise of asset-backed currency models, and the collapse of outdated petrodollar agreements have all contributed to this moment. The U.S. is positioning itself with a new gold-linked digital dollar, set to debut alongside this currency shift. Iraq is moving toward a dinar-based oil settlement system. Vietnam is rumored to be collaborating with ASEAN partners on a regional e-wallet tied to digital VND. Central banks around the globe are watching this unfold. Some have already begun adjusting reserves and shifting currency baskets to include revalued assets. This will lead to a shakeup in global forex markets, and possibly even changes in IMF SDR special drawing rights weightings. You can also expect a temporary volatility spike in markets once the rates are public. Forex traders will be scrambling to realign strategies. Hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, and investment managers will pivot to assets tied to these new values, leading to a redistribution of wealth that could redefine entire economies. For those still doubting whether this is real, we understand. After years of delays, false starts, misinformation, and broken promises, skepticism is natural. But everything we've shared today is backed by multiple verifiable sources. With direct access to banking infrastructure, government planning committees, and international financial groups, we've spent years gathering intel, tracking movements, and building connections so we could give you the most accurate information when it mattered most. And now, it matters more than ever. The emotional aspect of this event also can't be overlooked. Many of you have held onto these currencies for years, some for over a decade, weathering ridicule, financial hardship, and doubt. This revaluation is more than a monetary event. For many, it represents a second chance, the opportunity to build generational wealth, launch charitable efforts, or finally walk away from financial chains that have bound them for too long. As always, RV News urges you to remain calm, focused, and disciplined. Don't let emotions override preparation. Make a plan now. Talk to your financial advisor, your CPA, your estate planner, whatever it takes to make smart decisions once the door's open. There are also reports that non-disclosure agreements, NDA letters, will be a part of the high-level Exchange packages. These NDA letters could limit what you can publicly share about your exchange, rates received, or process timeline. Violating these agreements could forfeit your gains or lead to legal action.